Okay, it's 5:30. Good evening, everyone, and we'll get started here on April 27th, 2021. I'll start out by asking our city clerk to call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Present.
Commissioner Guess?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Bray?
Present. And I believe we'll ask Commissioner Guess to make the invocation. We'll all stand.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for our community. We thank you for our time up here together. We lift each and every person in the community up, and I want to lift each and every person on this board. Prepare our minds, our hearts for each and every decision that we're making. Let our decisions be pleasing in your sight. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Let's remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now we move to the consent agenda. Well, are there any additions or deletions to the consent agenda?
Good. There's no additions or deletions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So I do have one item that I want to move off there, but I'll mention that in just a minute. So just start out by making a few remarks. Since the last commission meeting, everybody's been busy, but I've had some pretty interesting experiences, all good. I just wanted to make a call out to Chris Yarber in the Public Works Department. I spent a couple hours with Chris last week. It was a great meeting, and I was very impressed with sort of the way the department is being run, Chris's management style, and the way that he works, with his team. As a result of that meeting, we had our annual, Paducah had their annual cleanup day this last Saturday, and as a result of that meeting, I convinced Chris to go on TV and promote the cleanup day, and he did a great job. And so I just wanted to call that out, to everybody. I haven't heard the results of the cleanup day, how many loads they did, but it's, the point that he made to me, which I thought was a really good one, he said, Mayor, this is really important day for us because, everything that we bring in on this day is trash that we don't have to pick up later. And so, it was getting our citizens engaged to help clean up the community. So it went very well. Also, last week we had our second Southside meeting, and this is the second meeting of many Southside meetings, but it went really well, and kind of what came out of that meeting was interest. We made contact with Community Foundation, which is our community's foundation that aggregates money, contributions in the community, and uses it for things that move the community forward, because the idea was advanced that, well, maybe Community Foundation would have an interest in getting involved in our Southside project. And so we met with Tony Watkins and Joe Frampton, and they in fact are interested in helping us with the Southside project. So Commissioner Henderson joined me for that meeting, and so it went very well, and I'm very encouraged by the progress that we made there. We also had our second 911 joint meeting with the county to discuss 911. And this occurred actually yesterday, and I really think we made a lot of progress. I think the progress that we made was sort of really the city and county coming together in a mindset, in terms of the way that we're going to approach 911. And I think this is very important to move us forward. We still have to figure out a way to fund it. because for those of you who haven't been following the 911, 911 was funded going back 25 years by a fee on landline phones. And so we all know what's been happening to landline phones over the last 20 years. They've been going down. And we're not able to fund 911 through a fee on cell phones. It's not legal. So we have to come up with another funding mechanism for that. And we talked through some options, and I really think that we're coming closer to making a joint decision. I feel very encouraged by that. And the last thing I'll just mention, kind of a fun thing, but we had a meeting in the city here with, and we had county representatives here to talk about an event that's being planned for Labor Day weekend called Touchdowns and Tunes. And it's kind of a country music festival, if you will. It's a 3-day festival. It's going to be held at Carson Park, and they have big plans. We had the fire department, we had the police, we had a cast of thousands with the organizer last week to talk about all the puts and takes and the things that we have to prepare for. But the takeaway from that meeting is the promoter has big plans, and it could be a really sizable event at Carson Park for Labor Day weekend. And so that could be a really fun thing for our community and a really great thing to bring people into town. So that's just an update on some of the things that we've been working on. And from here, I have a proclamation that I need to read. It is in honor of National Travel and Tourism Week. And just to reinforce, I was down on the river at the riverfront this morning at about 9:30, and there were already people walking around. And I think sometimes if we don't spend a lot of time downtown, we really don't understand the impact of tourism. And of course, tourism has taken a huge hit, as a result of COVID. But it's beginning to come back, and it's very important to this community. And so I have a proclamation here in honor of that, in honor of National Travel and Tourism Week. And so I'll read it. It says, whereas the power of travel has been a consistent driver of the economy and the workforce in the city of Paducah, and whereas a robust travel industry provides significant economic benefits for the nation, generating more than $2.6 trillion in economic output in 2019, with $1.1 trillion spent directly by travelers in the U.S. and $189.9 million in McCracken County. And whereas travel has been the foundation of a healthy workforce, serving as one of the largest private sector employers in the United States, supporting 17 million jobs, including 2,495 jobs in McCracken County in 2019. And whereas spending by travelers has aided state and local governments alike, generating $180 billion in tax revenue in 2019 to support essential services and programs. And whereas travel and tourism dependent businesses and organizations, 83% of which are small businesses, are responsible for welcoming visitors from all around the world to explore the city of Paducah and all our county and all our country has to offer. And whereas last year, the coronavirus pandemic devastated every sector of the travel industry with staggering declines in 2020 compared to 2019, affecting every community in the country, including Paducah. And whereas Paducah, a UNESCO creative city known for creativity and cultural heritage, experienced severe losses in 2020, spending by domestic and international travelers declined by 40%, leading to a 32% decline in spending and tax receipts, jeopardizing jobs and programming and putting residents out of work. And whereas the travel industry cannot recover without the full return of leisure and business travel, as well as meetings and events by both domestic and international visitors. And whereas the rebound of travel will drive the rebuilding of the U.S. economy and American workforce. And whereas the power of travel will revive Paducah, Kentucky and the United States and drive us forward to a more prosperous future. Now therefore, I, George Bray, Mayor of Paducah, do hereby proclaim May 2nd through the 8th, 2021 to be National Travel and Tourism Week. And so, Laura, if you want to come up, I'll formally present this to you. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay.
The Paducah Convention and Visitors Bureau is proud to be part of the power of travel and play an essential role in this industry, in this community, and in the local economy. There are many partners: hoteliers, restaurateurs, cultural attractions, event venues, event organizers, and other small businesses that contribute to the vibrancy of our city as a destination and the significant impact of tourism in Paducah. On behalf of the industry, I want to express sincere appreciation to the Commission for recognizing this upcoming week as National Travel and Tourism Week. I'd also like to invite you all to join a webinar next Tuesday that the CVB will be hosting with the Paducah Chamber. This will kick off National Travel and Tourism Week as we celebrate the return of tourism to Paducah. We will hear from panelists highlighting positive developments for our community in leisure travel, group touring via river cruising, and sports events. We are looking forward to a great summer and the continued growth of tourism this year for the benefit of all Paducans. Thank you all so much for your comments and for your recognition of the industry.
Thank you, Laura, and good luck on Tourism Travel Week. Anyone else have any comments? Okay, from here we'll move to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval, but before we do that, I'd like to pull off the item D, which is to approve the 2021 annual plan and administrative plan for Section 8 program. And so we'll pull that off. I'll turn it over to you to...
Okay. Approve minutes for the April 13th, 2021 Paducah Board of Commissioners meetings, receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order accepting a 2021 Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG-CV, for emergency shelter in the amount of $31,500 through the Kentucky Housing Corporation on behalf of Community Ministries Incorporated, DBA Community Kitchen, for COVID-19 related homeless expenses, expenditures, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same, a municipal order authorizing an application for a 2021 Firehouse Public Safety Foundation grant for the purchase of an ATV vehicle for the Paducah Fire Department, in the amount of $23,125.80, and authorizing the execution of all documents related to same.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Thank you, Lindsay. So, Tommy, would you like to come up and I met with Tommy today, and Tommy Holloman, and we talked about the Section 8 program here in Paducah, and I asked him to pull that off the consent agenda and talk about it simply because it was educational for me, and I thought it might be educational for some of the rest of us, just to hear exactly what we're going through with that and some of the opportunities really maybe for actual improvement. So, Tommy?
Mr. Mayor, City Manager, City Clerk, Commissioners, thank you all for having us. As you know, or may know, the mission and the goal of the Section 8 program is to provide decent, safe, sanitary rental housing for eligible families in Paducah and the McCracken County. The fiscal year runs the same as the City Commission at the City of Paducah. As you may know, up until about 2.5 years ago, the Section 8 program was housed here inside City Hall. It was decided that the Housing Authority of Paducah, being located in Elmwood Court, may be best suited to bring the Section 8 program over there. We currently have Lasika. She was the Section 8 program director. There's a housing specialist and inspector. That is all the staff that they have. Talk a little bit more about how to become eligible for Section 8. Once an applicant is deemed eligible, they are given a voucher to find a landlord that will accept it in McCracken County. Persons can come in and apply. They're placed on a waiting list. There are preferences that can move them higher on the waiting list. There are 161 current applicants on the waiting list. We currently have funding available to house 393 families. We are currently assisting 389 families. In the past 9 months, we have successfully housed 59 families. On average, we spend about $157,000 monthly that are paid to landlords and utility companies. We inspect the units biannually, which comes out to about $133 per year, to ensure the landlords are in compliance with housing quality standards, and we can do other inspections as well. The Section 8 program currently has some supportive service programs, one being the VASH program, which is the Veterans Assisted Supportive Housing program. We have a home ownership program. We have a family self-sufficiency program. And we currently have 21 families that are assisted with the VASH program. We have 12 families on the home ownership program. There are 10 tenant protection enhanced vouchers for people who were housed at the Jackson House in Southgate. When they quit doing the subsidized housing, we were able to step in and provide a voucher for them. The family self-sufficiency program, I'm not sure how many we have on there. Seven on the family. Okay. What we're asking approval for today is the approval of the annual plan and the administrative plan. We're required to do this annually. The annual plan is something we must submit to HUD, showing our progress from the previous year to now. So just to tell y'all, we have increased our VASH voucher utilization by 4 participants. We do have 7 currently on the FSS program who were able to maintain their employment even during the COVID-19 pandemic. Home ownership was able to partner with the Habitat for Humanity to assist 2 participants, and we were able to increase our voucher utilization by 2. The administrative plan is required to be updated and approved by the Commission annually. It's the policy that governs how the Section 8 program works, and it's to be and how it's to be administered under HUD regulations. It determines the local preferences, what makes an applicant eligible, provides the updated income limits, and fair market rents and utility allowances. Good thing is, for this year, there was only an increase to the sewer rate, but the electric, natural gas, trash, water did not have enough of an increase to constitute a change in allowances. The biggest hurdle we have is lack of participation of landlords. We want to educate and increase participation so that more affordable housing can be available in McCracken County. That's about all we got.
Okay, you mentioned, just a quick question, the $157,000 is that monthly? That's
Yes,
a
monthly. That's how much we spend paying to the landlords and the utility companies.
Okay. And I'm just curious if any other commissioners have any questions or comments, especially with this challenge, of getting more landlords interested in the program, why that actually occurs, and what kind of answers would you have for a landlord who might be hesitant?
With any rental space, there's always a risk. There's a misconception that the units are going to be trashed. That's a risk for any rental company. It doesn't matter if it's Section 8 or a private market. There's just not enough education. A lot of people don't even know what the Section 8 program is. So we just want to educate and tell them, it's guaranteed money for them from the government to help house that individual.
So is the restrictions, you're approved for 600 and some odd vouchers, but you're only using 300 and some odd. So
Right.
Is the difference in the fact that you can't find landlords, or is it funding?
It is funding and lack of landlord participation. It will take at least a year to slowly increase the voucher utilization. As you said, yes, we have up to 623 vouchers allocated to us. We're only using 389 of them. If we are able to house some more this year, we'll have increased funding next year. Therefore, you can increase voucher utilization overall.
So what exactly are you doing to educate landlords, and what kind of incentives are you giving them to
We are
participate?
currently talking with the City of Paducah, Mayor Bray, and to hold a kind of open meeting, so to say, to invite the landlords to come in. We can give a brief overview and then allow them to ask any questions.
I think I know, but would you tell us how, because a two-bedroom, one-bath in McCracken County, Paducah is different than a two-bedroom, one-bath in Mayfield, New York,
Right,
Washington, D.C.?
the fair market rents are actually for this area. Lasika, you may want to talk on that. a little bit
Yeah,
more.
how do you determine that?
Yeah.
Or who's the players in determining that?
Lasika's the brains behind this operation.
Sometimes.
No offense, Tommy.
Okay, so normally what happens is HUD sets the standards for your county. So the fair market rents are set by whatever the previous year's fair market rents, and I think they are increased by 2%. And once that is set, then we go each year and they may increase or they may decrease. So HUD sets those numbers based on how it's allocated and what the market rent is in the community for McCracken County. So we don't get to choose that. We
Right,
just have to
right.
wait for them to decide what they're going to do as far as the market itself. And once the market changes, then we'll find out what the fair market rents. I believe they come out in May. So we should have, they come out in October. And utility allowances come out in May. So that's the two differences. Any other questions?
If someone who's a landlord's watching right now, what should be their next step? If they're interested, they want to learn more, other than that meeting, can they call you? Could they
Yes.
set up an appointment?
So we have a landlord packet that is prepared, available. You can get it offline and we can email it. So we have resources where we can get it to you either by mail. With COVID, everything has changed. So we'll do everything that we can to promote the information. Most of the time, the participants that don't have Section 8 may be housed with a landlord that know nothing about Section 8. So that information is ready and available, the landlord packet. It's about 14 pages, and it gives specifics about what the landlord is required to do during the HQS inspection and what is required by city and HUD, business license, deed, and W-9 to be filled out. And now we are going to paperless printing checks, and so we're trying to do ACH deposits. So that's going to be a guaranteed get your money right away, and you don't have to wait on a check. So that is starting very soon. We had to send a enforceful letter to say, hey, if you don't send this back, you won't get paid. So we're making changes with new technology.
Could you talk about the inspections? We talked about that a little bit, and what's the purpose of the inspections, and how many you've conducted, and that sort of thing?
Okay, so inspections are done biannually. There is a guideline set by HUD that is HQS standards, and there is a specific guideline that we look at the entire unit, so you go room by room. Some of the major reasons units fail inspection are listed in our landlord packet, but it could be from smoke detectors to ventilation in the bathroom. They have to have a window or a vent fan, no broken glass. One major aspect is lead-based paint. There can't be any peeling paint, and some of our units were built before 1978, so there shouldn't be any lead-based paint in the paint that we're using now, but if a unit has 4 or more consecutive steps, it has to have a railing. If the unit is 30 inches off the ground, it has to have a porch railing. So some things that you would generally look for when you're going to look at a unit that you're going to purchase or rent is some of the standards that HUD holds us accountable for to making sure that it passes the inspection.
Same qualifications you would have, really, that it's not over and above. I haven't done HUD and
I know
haven't
when
done
I
any
saw you,
Section
Mr.
8
Guest, Commissioner
in
Guest.
15 years or so, but,
Hadn't
yeah,
seen you in
it was
a
it's a good program. It's not, I just don't have houses anymore. Most people have houses, so that's why.
Do you think there's an opportunity to educate landlords?
It sure doesn't hurt, doesn't hurt at all.
Yeah.
But it's just, my experience was, I don't know how you can get broken windows so much. But it seems like every year, but I thought it used to be yearly. I don't remember biannual.
We just changed that.
Okay.
It does save a lot of money on transportation because we have local inspectors that have to go out. And probably 95% of the time, there's not any deficiencies probably within a year,
yeah.
but about 2 years, you can find some things. Probably the most important, which is a fix that has to be done in 24 hours, is those smoke detectors. So they have to put those smoke detectors back up or provide batteries for them, or whatever the reason that they're not working, they have to put those up. That's like a life-threatening deficiency, and so those are major. But since HUD incorporated in probably 2018 that smoke detectors are required in each bedroom and then in the vicinity of each bedroom, so that means in the hallways. So at least there's some protection there before, if you have to escape, at least you have that opportunity before it gets to your bedroom.
What's the website?
www.paducahhousing.com. Look under the tab, under the departments that says Section 8.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you guys very much for the presentation. And if you need any support from me to hold that landlord meeting or outreach or whatever, we'll try to help you with that.
Absolutely.
Thank
Reaching
you.
out soon. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
City Clerk?
A municipal order adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky Administrative Plan for 2021 Housing Choice Voucher Program effective May 1st, 2021, with said administrative plan including revisions to the utility allowances for the Section 8 housing program as required by the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as revived.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, we'll read the first municipal order. City Clerk.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Approving and Authorizing the Execution of a Grant Agreement Between the City of Paducah and the Marion Group in an amount of up to $100,000 for roof stabilization for the Dunlap Apartments, Walter Jetton School."
Katie, would you like to brief us on that?
We have it so
course.
moved.
No?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm pleased to bring this to you tonight. A grant partnership with the Marion Group to redevelop the Walter Jetton Schoolhouse. Our part is to help support the roof stabilization, which is a $700,000 project to completely rehabilitate the roof. This request is to offer up to $100,000 of assistance. The total project cost is $14.5 million to rehabilitate the apartments, offering 42 workforce apartments as well as community uses. So staff recommends approval of the grant agreement.
Yeah, so I would just say that they did close their deal a couple weeks ago, and I know I was actually talking with Tommy and today, and they're already starting to talk about moving residents out, and they were talking about sort of the puts and takes on Section 8 incentives versus the incentives that the Marion Group is offering to people to move out, and while this construction takes place. So they're very cognizant of the people that have been living in there. I think it's I'm very anxious for them to get started. I think it's a signature project that could help transform Walter Jetton Boulevard and that section of town. It's going to take more than just them, but it certainly could be a cornerstone project to get started in that area of town. So it's $14 million, did you say?
$14.5 million. They'll begin construction this summer.
Yeah, and I met with them a month or so ago, and they're on a timeline. In order to get their tax credits, they have to complete that project in a certain amount of time. So they're on the clock, and that's part of why they're being so aggressive. So, and the $100,000 is as I understand it, is the city's contribution, if you will, to that roof project to help help get them started on this project. And they did call and request that, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's my understanding. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
How long will it take once they start construction this summer? They said?
They did not say, no. But the roof portion of it has to be done by next June. So that's the first part.
Yeah, I thought I heard 18 months, but I hate to
Yeah, I
repeat
thought I
that.
did too.
So. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, City Clerk?
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, read item B.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Deed of Conveyance and All Documents Necessary to Acquire a Portion of Real Property Located at 3801 Hanson Road for Purchase Price of $5,137 to be used as right-of-way and permanent public utility and drainage easement for the Buckner Lane Bridge Project."
So move.
Second.
Mayor, Commission, I think that pretty much describes everything that we're actually doing. Everybody knows that we're using FEMA money to replace the Buckner Lane Bridge right there at Oak Crest. And this is a project where we're actually preparing for a bigger project in the future if we want to improve that area, and working with the Seatons, Elizabeth Seaton, she was very much for this project moving forward, and we'll be bringing a few more properties to you as we acquire them.
Great. Questions? I think we're good.
Commissioner Galt? Aye. Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Thanks, Rick. Okay, please read item C.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing and Approving Amendment Number 8 to the Professional Consulting Agreement with Federal Engineering Incorporated related to an upgraded 911 system in an amount of $52,500 to refresh the report for the 911 radio project and authorizing the mayor to execute the amendment."
So moved.
Second?
Chief?
Good evening, Mayor, Commission. Just want to briefly touch on kind of how we got to the point where we're at with the document that's in front of you tonight. So in 2017, Federal Engineering worked with us to do a needs and assessment report for the 911 center. They identified 4 areas that needed to be replaced and worked on: the telephone system, the CAD system, which is the dispatching side of it, the records management system, and the radio system. We've accomplished the first 3. The last project on that's left is the radio system. That system was installed in 1994. It ended the vendor support for repairs in 2018. And basically all of the key components are past their end of life. The current radio system also lacks full coverage for both the city and the county, and there's numerous what we call dead spots within the area that we service, also within several of the buildings. So the report from 2017 estimated anywhere between $8 million and $14 million to replace that radio system. Federal Engineering was our partner on that. They identified the needs for us. That study that they generated now is almost 5 years old. So what you have in front of you tonight is an amendment to that contract. The purpose of the amendment is solely to update and refresh that report and get us some new cost estimates, as well as any new requirements that are out there. Additionally, they're going to look at several alternative tower locations, which may afford us some opportunity to have some cost savings within this. So instead of the 8 to 14 million, maybe we can shrink that down if we have some alternative tower sites. The third component of that is for them to also to take a look at a proposal that's being presented by Motorola, which is to basically partner with them and what costs would be associated with moving to the Kentucky State Police system. So that's one that's lingering out there that we feel like needs to be studied and looked at just to make sure that is or isn't what we need to do. It's a 12-week schedule, so we anticipate within approximately 12 weeks that they will have this study completed and we'll have those numbers back. That's really important as we move forward with these meetings that we have with the county to have a good understanding of what the cost is going to be so we know how to fund the 911 in the future. Yesterday at our meeting, the county agreed to split the cost of this, updating the study 50-50. And last night, the fiscal court also voted to reimburse the city for half that at $26,250. So the contract that you see in front of you is for $52,500, with the city portion of that now being $26,250.
So I'll just point out a couple things. One of the things that I said in the meeting, is this original study was done in 2018. Is that right?
It was 16,
Oh, 16,
and then
I'm sorry.
we received it in January 2017.
Okay, thank
But
you.
the data and information was collected.
So that was 5 years ago, or,
Almost.
close, almost. And so so now here we are, 5 years later, and we're refreshing the original study. And so one of the things, and I guess I'll just say one more thing, people, this is public money. This is taxpayer money. And so when we put a study, when we decide to pay a consultant, we need to be prepared to take some sort of action. So one of the things I said was there's no point in refreshing this study if we're not going to take action. And I think that the commitment that came out of that room yesterday is we are going to take action. So I think this puts us on track to do something. We yet undetermined. It'll depend on what the report says when it comes back. But I feel like we're on track with 911. Questions, thoughts, comments? Thank you.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
I was just going to ask one thing, Chief. Some of the things I know that we've done lately, we've approved grants and you've gotten some things, will help also bring that in the adjustment of the cost?
It will. They'll
potentially?
go back through and they'll look at everything that they did in the past and make sure that those numbers are still the same or different. They will be different because the fire department has purchased mobile radios as well as handheld radios. The police department received a grant for $314,000. And so we anticipate within the coming weeks having a presentation for you guys on, or approving that purchase for all the radios. And we think that will take care of the police department and the fire department as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Okay, City Clerk?
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, now we have some ordinances to adopt. We've previously discussed these, but we'll start out with ordinance A, the first one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Establishing an Entertainment Destination Center in the Downtown of Paducah and further directing the City of Paducah to apply for an Entertainment Destination Center license from the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, and further establishing the requirements for licensees to sell alcoholic beverages within the Entertainment Destination Center." This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance creates new articles in Chapter 6 of the City of Paducah, Kentucky Code of Ordinances to define the geographic boundary of a new entertainment destination center in downtown Paducah, and authorizes the City of Paducah to apply to the Commonwealth of Kentucky Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control for an Entertainment Destination Center license. Further, this ordinance outlines the participation requirements for alcoholic beverage licensees located within the EDC boundary. Pursuant to KRS 83A.06009C, the following full text shall be published. A new section shall be created in Chapter 6 of the City of Paducah, Kentucky Code of Ordinances, which shall be titled EDC Fees, and to state as follows. All ABC licensees participating in the EDC shall be required to pay a yearly fee to the city of $250. This payment shall be due and payable on or before July 15th of each year.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion or concerns here? I mean, we've been through this. I think Catherine, you want to give us an attaboy? I mean, you want to give us the final high five here?
Final high five, we're excited. Lindsay and I have been working together to get everything in line for starting tomorrow, applying with the state. And then we still are pushing forward for the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, so we're excited about that.
I think we got a lot of positivity
Yes.
on this in the community, so I'm real happy about that.
Me too.
So, great job, thank you.
Thanks.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. B, ordinance B, the build grant.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Authorizing and Directing the Mayor to Execute Change Order Number 1 with BFW Engineering and Testing Incorporated to increase the contract by $12,200 for the build grant environmental assessment." This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance authorizes the execution of Change Order Number 1 with BFW Engineering and Testing Incorporated for an increase in the amount of $12,200 and a new total contract cost of $262,200 related to the build grant environmental assessment. This change order allows for BFW Engineering and Testing Incorporated to engage the services of a third party to provide mussel surveys along the shoreline as part of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services analysis of the impacts of the proposed project.
So moved.
Second.
So we discussed this pretty much in depth the last meeting. So are we all good? Okay, I think we're good, Rick. So, City Clerk, would you call roll?
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, next item is the RDAP matching funds, if you'd read that one.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Ordinance Number 2020-6-8641 entitled, An Ordinance Adopting the City of Paducah, Kentucky Annual Operating Budget for the Fiscal Year July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government." This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the annual budget for a fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021, as adopted by ordinance number 2020-6-8641, be amended by the following reappropriations to transfer $154,000 from the Debt Service Fund Reserve to the Investment Fund IDA account.
So moved.
Second.
City Manager, would you just go over this briefly one more time? Where are these funds going to come from?
From the reserve account, but, you know, I'm kind of reluctant to even vote on this tonight. I'm wondering if we should table this and have further conversation about where the RDAT funds are coming from the county, based upon some conversations we had during the budget meetings today. Maybe we're getting out ahead of ourselves. Our agreement says that we're supposed to provide a match to the funds provided by the county, but they're not providing any funds. So I'm thinking maybe we table this and come back, give us an opportunity to kind of meet with the county, kind of figure out where they're at, meet with the IDA, see where they're at. Or we could approve it and go through with it and just not make any payments on the invoice.
So your concern is that county hasn't allocated their funds yet, or?
The county's, my understanding is the county is saying that they cannot give the money to the IDA unless they have a qualified project. And our agreement says we're supposed to match the amount given by the county. So we're getting out in front of ourselves. So I just want to make sure that we're really abiding by the agreement, matching what the county gives, making sure we're hand in hand on this.
Okay, you've had conversations that indicate that that's the case, that they're, okay.
So we could go, this is just authorizing the budget, moving the funds around the budget to allow us to make that payment. But before we make that payment, I think we need to do some more due diligence to make sure we're doing it right.
So could we just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to point out, and pardon me for interrupting, but I was going to point out that, I am chairman of the IDA, and I know that these funds from both the city and county really is going to fund the IDA.
That's right.
And so it's critical that we, that the IDA gets this, and the IDA is going to own property, and they're going to take care of the property, and eventually, the IDA wants to, at some point in time, when it's financially feasible, to maybe even build a spec building.
Yeah. I do truly believe the IDA needs this money, but at the same time, if we're supposed to match the county's contribution, but they're not making any contribution, what are we matching?
I do think we need to walk hand in hand with them.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that. That's the way the agreement's set up.
Yeah.
So,
Mayor, could we amend the ordinance per county's match? I don't know how to really phrase that, but go ahead and pass it, but amend the ordinance so that when you all work that out, you can go ahead and fund it, and the IDA can get busy with what they need to do. Is there a way to do that?
I wasn't thinking necessarily of amending. I was just thinking of going ahead and passing it now until everything is worked out, and then you already have the authority to do whatever.
That makes sense. That gives me a little bit of time to work with the county and the IDA, and just to make sure we understand exactly when this is going to be needed and how we're going to proceed. What my biggest concern is that if we actually provide $154,000 to the IDA, which they need the money, I understand that, and the county does it, what are we matching? And then it kind of gets off kilter with really the intent of the agreement.
But it's an executed agreement. They've agreed to that, correct?
Yes.
So there shouldn't be any reason why they wouldn't do that. Is that correct? Why they wouldn't fund it?
If they don't have any qualified projects, how do they fund it? I think there's more we need to learn.
I got you.
I'm puzzled. This came up in the conversation with the budget conversations this afternoon. It kind of just made me a little inquisitive.
I have to believe that it's, somewhat of a misunderstanding or just, a difference in the language. So you're thinking that if we pass this, without amending it, but then we've got the funds, but we don't have to pay the funds until
Yes. Yeah, we can do it that way. It's the easiest way to do it. We can get it done. This is just moving money in our budget, authorizing us to proceed with the payment. But then what we'll do is just make sure we pay it the right time.
I think we should just amend it to that he would pay it when we understand how they will be paying it, when their money will be coming. There may be a different interpretation for what they're looking at it from the way we are.
So you're suggesting that we do amend it?
Well, or we just have the understanding that we know that it will be paid when we've worked out this agreement with the county. So I think
That's
it's
what I
just knowing the
Yes.
schedule. We have plenty of time. It's for this fiscal year, right? 21.
This fiscal year, yes.
So we have from now till the end of June
Well,
to pay it, but I guess the IDA needs the money.
That's right.
However, they didn't have the money prior to this agreement.
that's right. And per the agreement, we were supposed to have this money paid, both of us, by March 31st, if you remember
Oh.
that. So we're both kind of behind the 8 ball on this.
I think we
So
should just go ahead and vote on it and approve it, and then we'll know that Jim will be working that agreement out with the county.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
That's-
Everybody
that's
else okay with
That's
that?
fine.
Okay. All right, good discussion. City Clerk?
Commissioner Galt,
Aye.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Okay, ordinance D.
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Section 2-142 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah relating to the time of regular commission meetings. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Section 2-142 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to change the regular city commission meeting time from 5:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month.
So move.
Second?
Any discussion?
Why does everyone always look at me and smile?
There better not be.
Fine with it. I'll be here.
City Clerk, take roll.
Commissioner Galt,
Quick.
Commissioner Guess,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
I can't wait.
Mayor Bray.
Aye. Oh, that was- Okay, thank you, everyone, for that. And the next item is a discussion about our commission priorities. And this will be a very interesting discussion, so I'll just let Michelle get us into it, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners, and City Manager. I'm excited to be here tonight to give you an update on our City Commission priorities. And this is the first of our quarterly updates that we promised we would bring to the community. So I wanted to start off mentioning that at paducahky.gov/commission priorities, you can find all of the information presented this evening. You can also find the timeline of when the retreat was, when it was adopted, and then all of the reports are posted. I also wanted to say that each priority action item has its own webpage with information specific to that item. For example, the South Side meetings, actually the recordings are posted on the website, so you can go watch them on each of these web pages. So Communications Manager Pam Spencer is doing a great job of making all of this information available. I also wanted to mention before we get into the updates that we have a survey out right now to the community, and we would like to know which priority means the most to you and why. You also become eligible for a $250 gift basket. I've seen it back in the vault. It's very nice. It has local restaurants and some great items. The survey does close Friday at 4:30, and you can access it through that paducahky.gov/commission priorities. We have 131 responses as of this afternoon. So please, we encourage you to go take it. We want to hear from you. So please visit that website. Okay. So we have our first quarterly update, and essentially what we'll do is I'll just walk through each item and give you an update on what we've been working on the past few months. So I'd like to start with the 911 radio tower upgrades and operational funding. This has been talked about this evening by the mayor and both Chief Laird, and we have had 2 city and county meetings. We are refreshing the study, as Chief Laird mentioned, and then Commissioner Wilson's excellent question about the grants. We did get $300,000 to fund the police radios, so that's been covered this evening. I will say, as I was looking through the agenda, we have 4 commission priorities on here that you all are taking action on the agenda just tonight. So I thought that was a great example of how staff is really focusing on what the commission priorities are and bringing those items to you. Talking about minority inclusion, I know the mayor, Mayor Bray and Commissioner Henderson has been working a lot with the proposed Paducah Diversity Advisory Board and trying to figure out exactly how that looks and what role they'll serve in the community. So you all have had several meetings with that group, and I know those conversations are ongoing. Is there anything you'd like to add about that?
Yeah, they're working, I think they've pretty much got their board selected.
Great.
They've made the decision that it's going to be a community board that's going to be set up to advise the commission and interface with the commission and just provide guidance on things. And they've got their first meeting, board meeting scheduled for May, I have to look at my calendar.
I think.
May 12th, okay.
I think that's right.
And we have, we were to have a meeting this coming Friday, but we are going to push it out for a week. But we're right at the end here, to get this set up and get them going. And so I'm excited to get going.
Yep, fantastic. Great work, Commissioner Henderson and Mayor Bray and that group you're working with. I did want to talk a little bit about the city tactics. We have been focusing on inclusive recruiting tactics. We've been focusing on professional associations that really give us reach out to all groups and let them know what jobs are available with the city. And we've been talking with HR Director Stephanie Suazo about getting an internal dashboard to look at the demographics of our workforce and start to analyze if that reflects our community, so that we can keep those inclusive recruiting tactics and work towards representing the demographics of the community. So we've started that process as well.
Yeah, I'll add something on that. I mean, I think that, the Diversity Advisory Board, is going to provide us a lot of input. They're definitely going to take us out of our comfort zone at times. I don't think there's any question about that. But the city has to lead, as it relates to all of this. As a government entity, we do need to, we do need to represent the demographics of our community. And there's a lot of hard work ahead of us on that. And but I think the city has to lead, and I believe if we lead effectively, that others in the community will follow.
Yeah, very well said, Mayor Bray. Downtown, this is a large update. We did have the TIF district approved by the state in March. We have the city block project preliminary design package has been received and is under review at the staff level. Of course, we just heard the Entertainment Destination Center update. That is very exciting. We have had 5 new businesses come to downtown and 0 have closed, and I think our Katie Axt was telling me today that we've had another one, so that has increased to 6 since this report was generated. And our goal is 10 new businesses, so we are well on our way, net 10, well on our way to achieving that. They've also been very busy with a lot of Paducah Main Street activities with trainings and board meetings, and all of those things go into the goal of being a fully accredited Main Street. So they've been working very hard on those activities. And we will be launching a downtown business survey that's slated for May, and that's really to get some feedback from the downtown businesses on how the city can help them.
Yeah, I'll add one thing on the city block project. I plan to meet with Wayland soon. I'm working out a time and a day. I'm going to be traveling to Louisville, and I will be meeting with them to get an in-depth update on the project and talk through several things. So looking forward to that.
Great. Thank you. Looking at our communications enhancement action item, our communications manager did complete that plan, and it's posted on the website and has actually started implementing a number of the items identified within that plan. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have a new vendor for the Pamgrams, as we like to call them, and they look fantastic. We've had our first media luncheon, which was great. She's participated in the team communications for TIF and the Entertainment Destination Center, so she is off and running with implementing that plan. And I will mention too, as we get into the budget workshops in May, the city manager has really been focusing with the leadership team of asking them how they're going to, what is their recommendation for funding these priorities? And you will see that as we get into the next steps of this, of how we're funding all of these. And there's some, in my opinion, some exciting things coming in the communications that we're proposing to fund.
I just want to compliment Pam on, stepping up and really making some significant changes in outreach to the community. It's not easy. You can send out all the emails, you can post all the things on Facebook, you can do you can try everything, but people still got to read and people still got to engage.
Yes.
And so it's challenging. We're hitting people from everywhere, but we're sincere. And being aggressive about trying to communicate, the things that we're doing in the community and looking for real input from people.
Yes.
So, compliments to Pam.
Okay, so with stormwater, we do have Strand looking at 4 possible projects from that comprehensive master plan. So that's the exploring possible stormwater projects, and then there are a couple of projects ongoing that will have stormwater improvements. With the remote workers incentive, the team has been busy gathering information from other programs on best practices. They also have engaged with local stakeholders like the Paducah Young Professionals, with the Chamber, to look at what that program would look like. So we did have a 60-day proposal in there, which we calculated from the time of adoption would be mid-May. So the idea is to bring that proposal, that's our timeline, to the Board of Commissioners in mid-May, one of the meetings. We haven't figured out the exact agenda, but that is the date we're looking towards.
Yeah, I'll just say that, I think we're close. I mean, I don't know where you are on it, but, if you need to sit down and meet and talk about it, we can, but I feel like, people I met with a group of people this morning, and one of the realtors, I mentioned to them that we were working on this, and he said, look, people are already moving here.
Yeah.
People are moving into the community now.
Yeah.
So, we gotta wrestle with that. How to provide this incentive, but we need to make a decision.
Yeah.
We need, COVID. We're coming out of COVID. People have been, we got remote workers that they're relocating, so, we need to hit this one sooner rather than later. So I don't know where we are, but.
Okay. We'll regroup with staff and get that date picked and in front of you. And
if we need to sit down and wrestle with, if you're wrestling with, a couple of things, how much incentive to provide, what are the conditions under which we would pay this incentives, I'm willing to sit down and engage, and we can, talk back and forth about what might work and what might not work,
Yeah.
And I'd certainly be glad to invite, another commissioner to sit in with us,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yep. Understood. On the city facility side, this is really on those maintenance activities from the study that was completed, I believe, last year. So we'll have some internal staff meetings coming up. We had discussed setting up something similar to the fleet lease fund so that, to our building, so that we can get ahead of that. So we're starting to think about at a staff level how that would look and how we can start to seed some of that fund that we would set up. So that's in a very preliminary initial discussions. Okay. South Side, this is very exciting. Of course, we had the 2 live stream meetings where we had approximately 180 city and county residents. And as the mayor mentioned, we have had 2 internal meetings working towards this. And this might be some of the first time this is being put out there, so there are a lot more details to come. But we did want to start talking about the South Side Rise and Shine neighborhood cleanup beautification event that we're looking at holding this summer. It's very exciting. We're looking at, possibly an 8-week program spread out across the different neighborhoods in the South Side. And there will be a lot more details to come on that. I think the communications manager is looking at starting to push some of that information out here pretty quick. So, add anything to that, Mayor?
Well, Commissioner Henderson and I were both in the Southside meeting. I mean, it sounds like to me it's going to be well orchestrated, you
Yeah.
know. Public Works is going to, you know, help us with cleanup in these designated neighborhoods a week at a time. So we we got to get organized around the communication prior to that
Yes.
so that we can get community engagement. That's what we need is engagement.
Yep, that's right, because
So-
this will be a partnership of the city and potential other people and other businesses in the community working with the residents in their neighborhood. So it's a true partnership with city, businesses, and residents.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting, folks that I've been talking to are excited. I've been talking about it.
Great.
And they're particularly excited about being able to get rid of their trash, and they don't have to take it anywhere, but it'll be right there in their region. So they're in their neighborhood, so they're particularly excited about that.
Fantastic, great. So much more to come on this. It's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
I'll
a
just
teaser.
add one final thing, and, you know, the south side, you know, the enhancements to the south side, you know, we didn't put this on here, I probably should have mentioned it, but, you know, one of the things that we need to do is we need to form a couple of committees. One focused on residences, and one focused on commercial.
That's a great point.
So, you know, I think that's going to be talked about a lot at our next internal meeting.
Yeah.
And so we're going to need to get engaged citizens into both of those groups of people, and so we'll be talking about that.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Great point. Okay. With the outdoor sports facility, so of course, the key to this is collaborating with McCracken County and the Sports Tourism Commission, and that's really required to build the state-of-the-art facility. And our internal staff has also been starting to look at, I think it's primarily the disc golf area right now, what those changes would be to our recreation facility, because it will require us to make some changes to Stuart Nelson and Noble Park. So they've started looking at what that could potentially be.
Let's skip over this one, and we'll come back to it.
Perfect.
Because it's got a lot of attention right now. Let's go through the rest of them, and then we'll get back to the outdoor sports facilities.
Sounds great. On the housing, there has been a flurry of activity, and of course, as Katie mentioned earlier, the Dunlap Apartments redevelopment project with us helping with the roof. Midtown Alliance of Neighbors has 3 houses being built near the Health Park area. And we do have some Northside neighborhood surveys out. And then the mayor did have some initial meetings with some key stakeholders on homelessness and transitional housing that staff was there to support. So we've also initiated some discussions there as well.
I have a question on this one.
Sure.
Like on researching housing incentives, because all we're hearing, I mean, I don't know about you from the realtors, but I mean, we need more housing. We need more in all price levels and apartments as well.
Yeah.
So part of that with me on the housing for the party was to be looking at recruiting some potential developers that would look at coming into our city and building more apartments or building some housing at the different price ranges. So is that what the researching housing incentives, what you're talking about there?
Oh, I'm a little rusty on this one. I don't know, city manager, do you know more on this piece of it? I need to dig in here and get a little bit more information.
No,
Okay.
not really.
Yeah.
Not at this time.
Well, I mean, I know we have a new planning director coming,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of the top of my list to talk to him about, but I think the sooner the better,
Yeah.
as you've talked about on the remote locations. If remote workers are wanting to come here and they can't find a place to live, it's an issue.
Yeah.
I just think the sooner the better on that one, too.
Yeah, we need developers, we need to partner with developers everywhere. You know, I mean, we need it, you know, we need it on the south side. We need to find interested developers who are interested in coming in to the south side and partnering with us somehow. We're going to have to figure out what that looks like.
Yep.
Whether or not the city might want to provide some incentives, you know, for developers in certain areas. But I just talked with a developer today that's developing. It's in the city. It's right behind McDonald's in Lone Oak. He's going to be building affordable housing, you know, in that particular area. But you know, affordable housing in Lone Oak is defined differently than affordable housing on the south side. And we need developers, you know, everywhere that can partner with us.
Yep.
And so part of building this out, I think, is to figure out what the role of the city is.
Yeah.
You know, in spurring this development. And I think, to your point, the new city planner is going to have a lot to say about that and a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So,
We will dig in and get a little bit more information on this one and make sure we're heading down that path. Thank you. That's great feedback. These are the last two. Oops, let me get it. The last two, we have annexation and planned growth. We have had one this year. Our goal is 6 for this calendar year. This is another one where we're researching some incentive programs about how we can encourage people to annex into the city and some potential incentives. So that's in the early researching stage. No real details around that yet. And then finally, on the Fire Station 4 and Parks building, we've had some internal meetings to talk about that project planning. What are the community needs? What does the city need? And start to figure out how that looks. So that, again, is in the initial kind of internal planning stages. Any questions or comment on either of those two? Okay. Well, with that, we did want to bring this up as the bond proceeds next steps. These are the 6 identified projects when we adopted the commission priorities in March that were identified as potential projects for the use of that bond money.
okay.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Leave that last slide up there. I think
yeah,
that's...
absolutely.
Sorry.
No need to apologize. Well, maybe. I think I froze it, Lindsay. How about I just do this? Just gonna
There you go.
leave it there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to put off the discussion about the outdoor recreation facilities is that, you know, since this commission took office, the outdoor sports facilities has gained momentum, and the county has been the lead on this project. And I think at our very first retreat, the city talked about this project being an important project for the community. And but at the same time, when we look at the bond proceeds, you know, there's a finite number up there, and the city has multiple priorities. And one of the things that I've wanted to do is to wait and be very deliberate about the way that we made the decision on these funds, primarily because some of these projects were moving parts. We really take the airport, we know about what the number is, but we're still waiting to bid out the work. And we also had fundraising that's getting ready to take place in the community that could affect that work. We already heard earlier tonight that we don't really know exactly how much we're going to have to spend with 911 just yet. So we've refreshed the study. We're 90 days away from knowing what that is. We're talking about stormwater and stormwater projects, how much of that to bite off. In reality, a robust stormwater plan is really a very long-term plan and needs to be well thought out. And it's not something that we're going to be able to make a big impact with in the bond funds as we know it today. There are a couple of projects in there that we could take on, and I think we've kicked around doing that. And of course, we got south side enhancements, and we've got needs in that particular area. So the county has come forward and advanced the idea that the city would be full partners in the total cost of the project, which the number that's been thrown around is $40 million. And so we don't really know what that number is. We won't know until it's bid out. We've got the same situation there that we do with the airport. But I think that for the city to be a full partner, other projects they would have to suffer. And so I think we have to work through the importance of this project to the community. I've talked to a lot of people in the community, and I'm 100% convinced that it's an important project for the community. I get positive feedback on it from multiple people every day. But that doesn't change the fact that we've got multiple priorities that we need to decide how the bond funds are going to be used. The judge has suggested that we maybe get together as joint city-county commissions next week and hear from the designers of the recreation facilities, and all of us get together and be able to really understand, the breadth of the project, the cost of different elements of the project, and if we wanted to, the judges even indicated that we might consider downsizing the project. So I think we need to consider if we wanted to downsize it, how we would downsize it. Is it wise to downsize it? Sports tourism is a huge industry. It's just, and it continues to grow. I talk with people every day that are on the road every weekend with their children, with their various ages, 8 to 18, on the road playing in tournaments, soccer, softball, baseball. We've already seen what some of the basketball and volleyball tournaments do downtown. So I think it makes sense to take a measured approach to this and really think about what we want to do. And I think if we're talking about being partners of some degree, I do think it makes sense, for us to get together as two commissions and talk about it. However, if what we want to do is to go all out, and and we only have $20 million of bond funds, there's only a couple of places that the money can come from, and that's either a reduction in our expenses somewhere along the way, or an increase in our revenues. And so I think it's, when you think about the importance of the project, and you think about the needs that we have in the community, which are multiple, I think it makes sense to think through that with the county commission, and I think it makes sense to do that. We have to do it in a public forum, where the community can hear our discussion and understand, where both sides kind of sit, and try to work through this for the true benefit of the community. So I've told the judge more than once, that I think it's a great project. I'm fully supportive. Fully supported doesn't mean that I'm 100% 50-50 partner at any price. So I think we have to work through what fully supportive means. The way I see it. But so I just wanted to make those remarks, and I'd like to hear from I'd like to hear from everybody, on how you're feeling about this, because I think it's important. It's getting a lot of play. It was in the paper this morning, TV last night. It's a good story, and it's going to continue to be a good story for some time. So I'd like to hear some discussion.
I'm happy to,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
well, I'm happy to start. I think I'm on record being very supportive of sports facilities in Paducah and McCracken County. I mean, I've cast that vote, and I've wanted us to do that. We started with the county taking the outdoor sports and the city taking the indoor. That obviously has changed, but my support for sports activities, it hasn't changed. I'm very supportive of it. I've talked to many of you about that bond money was sold for sports facilities, and I think that we should use at what level we all feel comfortable with. But, you know, reading the paper today gave me a lot of some thought, some anxiety about have all of you seen the plans? I mean, I've only seen them in one meeting briefly. So to say that we are or we aren't interested, I don't know how we could say that when we haven't even seen the plans. So I mean, again, I've seen them briefly, but I don't think you have, Commissioner Galt.
No.
Or you have, Commissioner Henderson, and I know you've been to one meeting, same as I have. So I think we need to have the meeting. We need to see what the plans are. Obviously, they have grown a lot. I mean, I've been, I think, maybe 8 years ago when we were serving together, when we came back from a meeting in Lexington, we detoured
We
through
did.
Elizabethtown
We did.
to see their sports park. And it was built, I think, 10 to 12 years ago, somewhere around in there, for $24 million. And at that time, we both looked at it like the Disney World of sports parks in Kentucky. So seeing this cost, you know, it makes me wonder. It also gives me a lot of question about the city with Stuart Nelson Park needs to be included if they're going to do all of it. So that's a city-owned property that we're changing, and I know it's going to keep the name. I've understood that they really wanted to make sure that that was done, but it's going to cause, like the dog park, for example, to be relocated. The disc golf, several of those holes to be relocated. We would need to reconstruct some of the ball fields at Bob Noble Park to replace the ball fields we would be taking from Stuart Nelson Park. Are the Stuart Nelson Park Road, for example, that would be leading into there, are those costs included in this $44 million? Or is that something that the city would have to bear on top of our half to be a 50-50 partner? And honestly, at the beginning, I know that we split the CVB so that the Sports Commission could be funded, and we put that additional hotel tax on for the sports park, thinking that it was going to raise money to fund part of it. So I would really like to know how much now that that's expected that can fund of the $44 million, because when we're talking about half for the city and half for the county, where does the Sports Commission funding come into play? Is that just now for operational? Do they have to have that for it, or will it not be sufficient on its own to raise its own money for operational money that they need? So those are a lot of questions that I have that I think need to be addressed before we make any kind of a commitment on what our funding level would be.
Yeah, so I agree, and I mean, those are all great points, and I think, you know, the sports, the tax, the new tax that was put in, I mean, I don't think anybody really, or at least I didn't, know how much money that would raise. So it raised, I think, maybe 1.2 million the year before COVID, pre-COVID, and then of course it dived last year, and it's beginning to come back, you know, but that's not enough, you know, to fund a facility on its own, clearly. And so we just need to think through it. I mean, those are all really good questions. I mean, I've heard a lot about the road at Stuart Nelson Park. Can you tell us what you know about what needs to be done, the cost of that? Or?
Yeah, basically what we need to do is just basically reconstruct the road. It's going to require a little bit of widening, probably some easement acquisition, some stormwater work along the sides of the road, just to make sure it's a viable entranceway. It's a commercial corridor there as well. So ballpark estimate, like I put to you guys, you know, being very liberal at 1.5 million for that. We could be able to get it done for 1.2, that type of thing, maybe a little bit less. But just trying to make sure we have enough money in there for that. But I think that needs to be included as well. Also, we've had some conversations about, is this the time too to punch an access road back to Cairo Road on the backside? You know, and really start thinking long-term growth for this, how we have multiple points of egress into this park. It's going to be especially if we're dumping $40 million into the heart of our community, how can we make sure we shine and get multiple access points from the interstates?
I think 44 million is what was said in the paper. And so there are just a lot of questions, and that doesn't mean that we're not in support of it. It
Right.
just means that we
Of
really
course.
need some answers before that we can develop
Right.
our own response.
Commissioner Henderson, did you have?
Well, I was going to say, not exactly what Commissioner Wilson was going to say, and probably not as eloquent as she said it. But I think it's a given is that the sportsplex is a priority for us. So we're all behind it, just not sure at what level. And my understanding of partnership means that we do this thing together. We walk together. And as Commissioner Wilson has said, none of us have seen the plan. None of us know.
It's taxpayer money. We want to do what's best. And, but I haven't heard one negative thing. Just, and I just have to, the people that I talk to, that we're just, we want to make sure we're included. And we just want to make a good bang for our buck. We don't want to, I've heard several things. How could a baseball field cost $5 million? But it's just, let the design, I hear it every day. How can a heating air unit cost that much money? But it does.
I just want to make one final comment on it from me, but today there's a small group of us participating, representing Paducah and McCracken County on a cohort group about future thinking. And we had to tell a little bit about our community. And when you talk about, for us, having a growth mindset, you talk about $20 million investment downtown on the city block. You talk about $40 million for a new terminal at Barkley Regional Airport. You can talk about $40 million a sports complex. We talked about $14.5 million tonight with the Dunlap and those new apartments. It adds up to over and then I put the build grant in. Way over $100 million in capital investment that could be taking place in our community. How exciting is that? So just figuring out how we can protect our citizens through 911 and keep a growth mindset is a great problem to have and some great goals to have for our community.
Yeah, so I totally agree with that, and it's people ask me, they say, Mayor, how's it going? How's
They ask us that too.
How's everything going? And I said, well, the honeymoon's over because we're about ready to have to make some important decisions, and that's what we were elected for.
Yes.
To get through this discussion. This discussion is healthy. It's important, that we work through these things and get our feelings out and try to do the very best that we can for the community. And so I really appreciate everybody's comments. I am going to agree. Well, first of all, we've briefly discussed next Tuesday afternoon at 5 o'clock. And we've kicked around, I don't know if you guys could do that. We've kicked around having it at the convention center. However, I think we have some problems with sound at the convention center. And I believe we could get all the commissioners around here, if they would agree to come here. We could also allow public, not a full chamber, but I believe Lindsay was going to research, exactly what the governor's current regulations are to allow as many people in as possible. But what about next Tuesday at 5? Sandra?
I can't. No, I can. I just have to miss a granddaughter softball game, but it's fine. Maybe we go at 5. Maybe we wouldn't last for a long time. It's not till 6, so it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
You
I can
good?
do it. That's the 4th.
The 4th.
I'm sorry?
The 4th of May.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can make it
Yeah.
work.
Mayor, I would like to add one more thing as we're all thinking about next week's meeting. Some of us have had our budget meetings and some still have yet that to go. I had mine this morning, and in that list, there was several things that were unfunded. But a lot of them were on executed agreements. There had not been funding identified as to, we'd agreed to do it, but we hadn't designated a funding stream. I think that's real important as we start to have this conversation with the county, that we're very clear as to where the money's coming from and exactly how much money it is, as well as all these other projects.
Right.
I know we have the bond, but we have many more priorities than that amount.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Galt, because I haven't had my budget meeting is tomorrow afternoon. I'm anxious, to get into the budget meeting and see what the budget for next year looks like. We definitely had a shortfall. I mean, COVID affected the city, and I don't know how long it's going to take us to recover. People have asked me questions about the budget, and I think it's, I'm glad all of us are going through this detail, because I think, we need to be able to understand, where the money's coming from, where it's going to be spent, what our obligations are, and really how we're going to pay for some of these things.
Right.
And if we're short, what do we do? And what takes priority? I mean, it's a matter of setting priorities and trying to make the best decision that we can. So, but I think the budget for next year really plays a role in this whole thing.
Finance and the city manager and Michelle were all in there today, and they've been very creative in the ways that they've handled it. But there are a lot of, and Commissioner Wilson, I know you had yours this afternoon, they've been very creative, but at the same time, a lot of it's one-time monies. Did you get that, Commissioner Henderson? It's one-time monies. It's not things that, like it is COVID money that's gonna fill a gap. It's things like that we don't have an income stream for. So I think it's very important.
I did have my meeting this afternoon for 4 hours. It went, you can imagine, it's mind-boggling to talk about money for 4 hours. It was great. One thing on stormwater projects that we can't forget is the flood wall.
Right.
And I think that's, when we talk about stormwater projects, I don't know that the mindset has been that it involves the flood wall.
Yep.
And we do have some, obligations there that kind of caught me by surprise at the end. I thought there might be something, I think I finally found $15,000 that maybe I didn't want us to spend in one area, that we could go somewhere else. I was encouraged that there is some money in there already for some South Side projects.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing. And the $15,000 I found, I said put it to the South Side as well to boost that up, even just a little bit. But it was very informative. I want to commend Jim and Jonathan and Audra and Michelle were in there with us today. It was a really great discussion. It helps us to be better informed, but at the same time, it makes you aware of the
Correct.
opportunity for some great projects that we just, may or may not have all the money that we need for.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for the discussion. I thought it was a great discussion, and we do need to do more of this, but I'm gonna move forward with setting up the meeting for next Tuesday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Okay.
Right.
So, where are we? Okay, city manager, do you have any comments?
Yeah, just one, just kind of just dovetails upon the last remarks made. Just want to thank Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Galt for your 4 hours of time today, and we have the mayor tomorrow and Commissioner Guest on Thursday.
Okay, any additional comments from any of the commissioners?
I've got just a couple. I also get the question to me is, how's it going? How's it going? And my response always is, it's going well. My response is that we're working well together. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank city manager and all of you, and particularly the mayor and our staff, for the hard work that they've put in to trying to make our priorities a reality. That has been so helpful for me, And I'm so excited that they see how important these things are to us.
Absolutely.
And so I just wanted to commend them for that. The second thing that I wanted to do is to talk to the mayor a little bit, to invite you on May the 3rd, which is Monday, the Reverend Alfred Anderson and the Lincoln Heights Baptist Church is going to host me in a meeting with some of our community to talk about some of the things that we've done, we're doing, and how these decisions affect them. And hopefully I'll be able to explain all that we've done in simple layman's terms. So I am excited about our future and excited how all of this is going to come together. I just wanted to say those two things.
Yeah, Commissioner Henderson, I want to commend you for organizing that meeting. I mean, Commissioner Henderson told me before the meeting that he was going to be doing this, and I thought it was great because I think, all of us have different ways of listening to our constituents out in the community. I mean, you got, all the social media that's out there, but also you got people chewing on your ear about one thing or another, but to be intentional and to sit down and invite people and say, I want to hear from you, I think you're to be commended. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I have something else.
Okay.
I didn't hesitate to bend your ear when I thought the vaccine rollout was being kind of slow and maybe we weren't being able to get it out as much as we can, but I just want to say, right now the vaccine is available. And the best way we can get our economy back rolling is for people to get vaccinated so that we can be out again. It's like, it feels so good to have that behind us and to be able to that. So I just want to encourage everyone to be getting vaccinated. And Return of Tourism webinar next Tuesday, May 4th at 9 o'clock. So I hope a lot of you will join us. American Queen's been here three times already. They're coming back this summer where they will allow people to be out in the community, roaming the community more and helping. We know if you've driven by this convention center on the weekends, they're packed. They're filling up our hotels, which is so great. And then the Lou Hammond group that works on tourism for our community, those are the three speakers to talk about how we're going to how we're returning to tourism.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for bringing up the item. I was actually going to mention COVID vaccine, and essentially, I'm in meetings all the time, some people wearing masks, people, they just can't wait to get them off, when they sit down and I understand all that, but the question I always ask everybody is, have you been vaccinated? Mm-hmm. And I'm amazed at the people that haven't still yet. So there's a significant portion of people who have not been vaccinated. And so I would echo on your remarks and to say that, please, there's plenty of vaccine out there right now. Yes. And please take the opportunity to get vaccinated.
Kind of dovetail on that comment, Mr. Mayor, we do have, probably late to the game almost, but we have Paducah face masks now. So and I asked Michelle to bring one for each of you guys up here at the dais.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a little late.
Thank you.
We can wear it out of here.
That's right. I didn't put it on and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have comments from the audience? Do we have comments from the audience? Okay. Okay, we have no comments from the audience. We have no executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, Commissioner.
Commissioner Galt?
I'm all right.
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all. All right, I'm running.